I have a really bad feeling that my camera's gonna die while I'm filming this, so it's gonna be an interesting video because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it. Hey y'all. I'm wearing Kayla's sweater right now, so Kayla, if you're watching this, yes, I wore your sweater. Yes, I'm just gonna put it back in the closet when I'm done with it. It's probably gonna smell because it's really hot in here and I'm sweating. I love you. This might be a shorter video, mainly because I've already filmed 2 videos today, back to back, so my camera's gonna die, like I said. Where did that accent come from? I also need to get this done before Kayla and Paige get back. I don't mind filming with people in my house. Like, I really have no shame with anything that I do. It's like, oh my god, my hair just like, oh my, what the fuck is that piece of shit? I really like don't care about filming in front of other humans. Like, that's not a fear of mine. But I prefer my videos when I don't have a lot of shit going on in the background. Also, Kayla and I suck. I'm just gonna fix my hair while I talk, whatever. I feel like I look like Coconut Head. What happened? I didn't really do anything. I just tried to fix my mess. Whatever. Kayla and I suck, and whenever she's here, we both get really distracted really easily. And so if we see something cool, I'll literally like stop filming mid-video, or like she'll be in the background of the video. So I just like need to do this by myself. I need to just be alone for a little bit and film some videos, so here we are. But I wanted to go back to Reddit No Sleep and tell you guys a couple stories, read a couple stories with you guys. I love this subreddit. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite subreddits ever. If you guys haven't seen these videos before, basically it's just like a bunch of stories that people have had, like real encounters with real humans. It's not paranormal, nothing like that, just really creepy stories with really creepy people, and it's right up my alley because I deal with a lot of weirdos in my life. So I can relate. Oh, Kayla's calling me. This is what I mean. But I already found a story, which is surprising because I'm never prepared for these. And this one's called, what was I saying? Did I finish my sentence before? We're reading Let's Not Meet Stories. It's pretty much it. So this one is called Never Talk to Strangers in a Grocery Store. I don't know why I said that as if I was about to read like a fan paranormal thing. This one's called Never Talk to Strangers in a Grocery Store. My family's from a small southern town. They've always lived around here, and in the early 70s, it was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. I just read a scary story, so I feel like I'm gonna have to like get out of that like personality. But I'm reading this as if it's like an actual scary story, but it's just like someone's story. You know what I mean? There's a difference. My grandpa owned his own grocery store. It was called Bill's Food Center, and everyone in the town would come by regularly and get their groceries and even stay and chat with him for a bit. My mom had worked the cash register from her early teens on, so she knew all of the regulars and could always tell when somebody hadn't been there before. So when 2 men come in that she had never seen before, she made sure to welcome them and asked if they needed help finding anything. She said she remembered being very unnerved by them from the beginning. She asked if they needed help finding anything, and the older... I can't speak today. I just got done reading stories, and it was very smooth. And it went great, but for some reason in the span of like 10 minutes, I lost all ability to speak English. She asked if they needed help finding anything, and the older one replied, "Nah, sweetie, we'll let you know when we find what we need." As they checked out, the older man, who she described as mid to late 30s, kept asking her increasingly personal questions. She was polite, but tried to give really vague general answers. The other man, who was in his early 20s, never spoke and just went along with everything the other man said. They came in for items every single day for about 4 days, and they always unnerved her, but she never felt too threatened or weirded out until the last day. The older man said he could use some help now and explained that they were going on a camping trip and needed some help picking out supplies. I feel like this is just like a horror movie waiting to happen. He said they needed some really strong rope and some duct tape. He explained that they liked to shoot guns and needed the duct tape to wrap around his hands while shooting. She felt that the explanation was odd, but nevertheless helped them pick out the supplies and check them out. She got such a bad vibe from them all day, and when she left, she made sure to memorize their license plate just in case. A few days later, a cashier at another local store down the street from my grandpa's went missing. After searching for a few days, the police found her body near a local river. She had been beaten, sexually abused, tortured, and stabbed repeatedly. I told you it was a horror movie waiting to happen. She was bound with duct tape, barbed wire, and rope. Barbed wire? Almost exactly like what my mom remembered selling to them. When she read about the murder in the Sunday paper, her stomach dropped. She immediately felt that she knew the 2 men were responsible. She told my grandpa she knew who was responsible for the crime. She knew the 2 strange men were somehow involved. My grandpa was skeptical at first, but my mom was so adamant that he eventually caved and they went to the police. My mom was questioned extensively by detectives. It took some time, but the police eventually caught up with the men and they were eventually found guilty of the murder. Holy shit. My mom was so shaken up about the whole thing, she refused to work in the store. She was even more alarmed when the police informed her that the men were casing my grandpa's store before ultimately deciding on the other one. I kind of got that feeling, like maybe because she was more cautious, they were like, okay, we're not gonna take her, we're not gonna pick her. So that's why they went to the other people. And I was right. I shouldn't be happy about that, but I am happy that like your mom's okay. So the 2 weird men prowling grocery stores, let's never meet. Oh, that's terrifying. I actually, like, I read part of it and I saw something about like a police, like a detective, and I was like, oh shit, like this is probably interesting. But Didn't guess that it would be like that. Oh my god. Okay, this one's called My Stalker Became My Roommate's Boyfriend. Sounds interesting. This happened years ago, but still affects me to this day. I apologize for the length in advance, but I feel like I have to tell the whole story. The summer after I graduated high school, I was still living at home. I was up late one night and packing for a camping trip with my friends. It was unbelievably hot and I had the window open as I sat in folded clothes. It was around 2 in the morning and the next thing I knew, there was a hand coming in through the gap in the screen of my window. This escalated really quickly. I screamed and the hand flew back out. I was stunned, but there was a part of me that wondered if it was just my younger brother pranking me. I got up and looked out of the window and just saw the figure of a man staring back at me. Oh my god, do you guys remember? I told this story a long time ago where my brother was like knocking on my window at like 2 or 3 in the morning because he was locked out of the house and I was panicking. Like I didn't know what was happening because I heard footsteps in my backyard and I just heard knocking on my window. Oh my god, oh my god. And then he rang the doorbell and I was like, okay, it's probably not someone breaking in if they're gonna ring my doorbell. And it was my brother with Diet Coke and chips. I ran into my brother's room and he was playing video games. We called the police who came and searched the area. They found nothing. They warned me and my parents to lock the windows and doors and they left. We were all still shaken up and my mom had a feeling that he would come back. It turns out mother's intuition was right. She went outside and waited on the back porch. Oh my god, your mom is a brave woman. After 20 minutes or so, she saw a man dressed in black slink into our backyard along the tree line. There wasn't a fence on the side, unfortunately. He hid behind a tree for a few seconds and ran to another tree and hid there, slowly working his way towards my window. My mother yelled something to him and he took off running. The police came back out and again found no trace of him. I never opened that window again, not even the curtains. My parents installed some motion detecting lights and that seemed to be the end of that. About 6 months later, my friends and I got an apartment downtown together. We were really excited as this was our first place on our own. The apartment wasn't exactly the best quality, but it was so fun to be living in the city. The downside was it was street parking only, so basically they didn't have a garage or anything like that, or not even like a parking lot, if you guys don't know what that is, which is pretty obvious. I don't know why I explained that. After a few weeks, my car was broken into. Nothing was taken, but a single rose sat on the passenger seat. It was creepy, but I vowed to be vigilant and safe. I always tried to park close to the entrance near the lights, but often it was difficult to get those spots and I would have to park further away on darker streets. Things began to quickly escalate at this point. My car was broken into at least once a week. Most of the time a flower was left, which I always threw on the ground, but once a pair of men's underwear was left. That's disgusting. And even more creepily, once a bag of Tootsie Rolls, as they were my favorite candy. Oh my god. This made me wonder if the person knew me personally, and I started to become suspicious of everyone. There was a laundry in the basement of the apartment, and one day I went down to get a load that finished drying. As I started to fold it, I realized all of my undergarments, bras, and panties were gone. Another week, I had a male friend over from school, and his tires got slashed during the visit. By the time the first letter arrived, I'd already started making plans to move elsewhere. The letter described a love for me that had been going on for years. He noted things that proved he had been watching me closely. Oh, I hate this. I was able to arrange for another friend to take over my lease, and I moved in with another friend on the other side of the city. It was a secured building and had an underground parking garage that was only accessible by tenants, or 2 tenants. I felt more secure, and the extra money spent was well worth the peace of mind. Things were quiet for a few months, and then my roommate got a boyfriend. Most of us were wary of Ashley's new boyfriend from the beginning. For one, they met on MySpace after he reached out to her. MySpace, how old is this story? Another reason was that her new boyfriend, Matt, was extremely good looking. And while Ashley was a wonderful person, she just wasn't the type you would typically expect someone like him to date. Ashley was thrilled. She had never had a boyfriend and really felt like it was her Prince Charming. I thought he was weird and creepy from the beginning. Matt was on the quiet side and always seemed to be sporting an uncomfortable, leering smile. It was difficult to carry on any sort of conversation with him because he would always make it weird with some random facts that were completely unrelated to what we're talking about. I do that all the time. So sorry if I'm creepy or weird to anyone that I've ever met. I know a lot of random shit, okay? I deleted my MySpace when the initial stalking began, but I created a dummy account to learn more about Matt. I think I'm gonna run out of space on my camera. Are you kidding? Okay, I'm back. Hey y'all. It didn't look like he really knew any of his friends in real life. There were only pictures of himself and the rest of the information was vague. My friends and I gently tried to discourage her from seeing Matt. He technically hadn't done anything wrong, but he was just so strange. She would immediately get defensive and would shut the conversation down. Matt started to spend more and more time at the apartment, and I would start finding excuses not to come home. One day I came home from work and found Matt on my couch, alone, drinking a beer. Ashley had been called into work, and she told him he could just hang out. That's so weird. I was furious because I didn't want to spend any time with him, so I grabbed a beer and a snack and headed off to my room and shut the door. About 30 minutes or so, he knocked on my door and suggested we watch some TV and get to know each other better because we both loved Ashley. I didn't want to, but decided that maybe I needed to give it a try. He put on a movie, and I tried to focus on the movie because I didn't want to talk. At one point, I glanced over to Matt and he was just staring at me with a smile on his face. How fucking creepy. I snapped a what at him, and he just continued smiling and said, "I just can't believe it." "Believe what?" I asked. He said nothing and went back to watching the movie, still smiling. I had no idea what he was talking about, but the interaction had every hair standing up on my body. I excused myself and locked the door to my room. Another month or so went on, and I managed to avoid being at home for anything besides sleeping and showering. Matt practically lived there and even had stuff in Ashley's room. I really didn't want to move again, but was beginning to look for other options. On their 6-month anniversary, she left him alone after dating for a couple months. Ashley. On their 6-month anniversary, I saw a huge bouquet of flowers on the table and an already opened card propped up next to it. I rolled my eyes and was about to leave when I decided to see what that weirdo wrote to her. When I opened the card, my heart started beating through my chest. Without even reading the words he wrote, I was shaking. The handwriting was exactly the same as the one my stalker had sent. I had kept them as evidence and dug them out of my desk for comparison. The handwriting was unique and identical. Matt was my stalker. I called the police first. As they were on their way, I called Ashley and asked her to come over. She was at work, but said she would be there when she could. I was terrified to tell her because I knew she would be shattered. The police took a statement from me and actually went to Ashley's work to get more information from her, and they ended up breaking the news. Apparently, Ashley called Matt and left a furious message even though the cops told her not to say anything, and he completely disappeared after that. There was no Matt or anyone matching his resemblance at the place he said he worked. Ashley had never been to his apartment because he said he had been staying with friends while trying to save money for a trip to Europe. His family lived out of state, and she had never met any friends of his because he said they had a falling out because he was choosing to spend so much time with Ashley. It was all lies, and in the end, she was dating a stranger. We don't even know if Matt's his real name. The cherry on top of this whole thing was when we went through Matt's stuff. He had left everything when he disappeared, and Ashley and I decided to go through everything. There was a duffel bag full of gym clothes, but in one of the compartments there was about 10 pictures of me. All were taken from far away, with the exception of the one of me sleeping. The sheets were current, so I knew it had to have been at the current apartment before I started locking my bedroom door. A few pictures dated back to before the incident at my parents' house, which made us link that that was him as well. 2 pairs of my missing underwear were there, and I shuddered to think of what he did with the rest. A Starbucks lid with my red lipstick marks, a necklace I hadn't even noticed was missing, and a few other random sick souvenirs. The police never tracked him down. I decided to accept an opportunity overseas that I'd been considering and got the hell out of there. Unfortunately, Ashley and I quickly drifted apart. She had a really hard time accepting that her first love was a complete psycho. I think I had some underlying anger, maybe misplaced, for believing all of his lies and letting him into our lives. I don't know what his endgame was. Would he have tried to hurt me? Or was he simply content with being in my world? I'll never know. Being stalked changes you. Even when I lived across the world, I looked over my shoulder everywhere I went. I still have no social media accounts attached to my real name. I'm married with children and know that he moved on to torment some other poor woman. But every time I visit my hometown, I am tense and keep a low profile. Part of me will always worry that Matt will resurface again. I don't know if you guys remember this either. Like, this is the story. Why is it so high up? There's so much headspace in this video. I'm sorry. I told a story a really long time ago. I actually think it was probably one of the first videos I ever posted on this channel. And it was about me being stalked at work. And the video is really bad. Like, the video is absolutely terrible because I didn't know how to edit. And I was like, literally was like my first video. But it's terrifying, you guys. Like, it makes you just so uncomfortable 24/7. Like, it was a really long time ago when it happened to me. But it was like a 40-year-old man, like 40-year-old man, who was a security guard at the place that I worked when I used to work at Victoria's Secret. Even if I felt uncomfortable and was like, okay, I'm gonna call security, I couldn't, because he was literally like the head of security at this place. My camera's gonna die. I'm gonna say this really fast. But he was literally head of security, and he would leave notes on my car. He left me roses, like a huge bouquet of like flowers and roses and a giant stuffed animal and a card on Valentine's Day. Like, this man was weird as fuck. He would come in like every single day when I wasn't working and ask like the next time I worked or what times I was working, or he wanted my schedule pretty much. And all of my managers knew at this point. They were like, dude, you gotta leave her alone. Like, she has a boyfriend, all this stuff. I didn't have a boyfriend, but I pretended. But they were like, she has a boyfriend, like, you can't keep coming in here. She's really not interested. And I was like 19, 20. I can't remember exactly when all of this stuff happened, but it was so weird. And it made me so uncomfortable. I was so anxious all the time going to work. Like I said, he would leave notes on my car, like asking me out on dates and stuff. And then I would like see him and he'd be like, ugh. There was one time where I was leaving work. I parked in a different area because we were supposed to park in a specific spot, but I was scared to park there because I just like knew he would be there waiting by my car or leave notes on my car. So I parked somewhere else. And as I was walking to my car, it's nighttime. It's probably 10 p.m. because I had closed the store, and he was sitting by my car. And it was so scary because I was by myself because I didn't even park near everyone. And the worst part was, he never said anything to me. Like, he was sitting right next to my car, and I just like got in. As soon as I saw him, I called someone because I got really nervous. So I called one of my friends, and I was like, he's right next to my car. I was like, I don't know what to do. And then he just sat there and he didn't say anything. But I would run into him all the time because he always worked and I always worked. And he would just walk past me. Or if he would come into the store while I was working, he wouldn't say anything to me. But as soon as I wasn't working or I had a day off, he would immediately be in the store like, where's Courtney at? Where's she at? Where's Courtney? Where'd Courtney go? And I was like, you gotta leave me alone, dude. And like, I was so scared to confront him because he was just so much older than me, and I had never spoken to him before in my life. I think I've said 2 words to him total. Like, I explained all of this in the video. If you guys want to watch that, you can. It's a really bad video. I can honestly remake it if you want me to, which I'm probably never gonna do, but whatever. I think that's all I'm gonna read for right now, though. I mean, it's still like a decently long video, honestly. That last story, I'm shook. Like, I'm having deja vu from like my Victoria's Secret days. It is terrifying, you guys. It is absolutely terrifying. And that literally went on until he got fired. And the reason he got fired is because he told another girl who worked at a restaurant right next to my store that he would tow her car if she didn't have sex with him. So he finally got fired. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the guy who replaced him was not even that much better. He always told me I left a trail of glitter everywhere I went, and I was like, oh, fuck off. I hope you guys enjoyed. I probably have 4 seconds until my camera dies, so I'm gonna keep this outro nice, short and sweet. Bye. Actually, we could just sit here until my camera dies because she's still alive. Still alive and thriving, and the wasp just flew past my window. Well, sucks for you, buddy, because I'm done recording, so you can suck my ass. See ya.